So apparently Team USA is getting committed. If you guys haven't seen recently, Team USA has now committed a bunch of players into playing for them. This is very nice, very exciting, and apparently the players are actually committed to playing in the 2024 Olympics. Let's talk about it, which players said what, and how next Olympics are looking for the world. First, I did want to say, in terms of a player who I don't know if they're going to play in the Olympics or not, Dame, I just want to say my, respect for Dame and my praise for Dame. He just recently, he filed for divorce. I don't know what he's going through. I don't know the situation in his house or why he's doing it. I don't know if maybe moving from Portland was big for him or for his relationship. I don't have any information, but I just wanted to say that, shout out to Dame. I hope that he's going through it well right now. Getting traded to a new team, to a new city, and the mother of your children, you divorcing her. I imagine there's some good reasoning behind that, but I'm not gonna get into that. I just wanted to say my respect for Dame. I just keep him in our minds at this point because he's probably going through a tough time, going through a divorce. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the Olympics. In the Olympics, especially for America, last year we saw the World Cup, and the World Cup went like hell. We saw guys from teams which were not that good, young guys with not much experience in big games, and guys who had really not proven anything yet, right? And that caused, the USA team to look weak, and especially, but, with all of this, I just wanted to say, and more importantly than anything, is we have to get stars to step up. And it's not about the USA. It's just about the fact that the best stars in the world should be participating in the Olympics every single 4 years. And I just wanted to say this, it isn't about America, but the only thing is that with the American superstars, they have this entitlement, because they'll be like, oh no, I don't want to play, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that. Like with Jokic, I see that. I know why Jokic doesn't want to play. It's like he's Jokic, he just won a championship, he played 2.5 extra months of basketball. And even though you're expecting him to do that, I understand him being like, yo, just let me recover. I don't want any injuries. And let me just chill for a summer, right? Now, with a guy like Kevin Durant, or maybe even just a guy like Luka who missed the playoffs, I respect him because he did play in the Olympics. He got his time to rest. He was working out in the offseason. So when we look at these international stars, right, at least we can see a pattern of them wanting to play, right, unless they have a valid excuse. But I believe that what has happened with the USA is that since in the NBA, their actions in the NBA have translated outside of it. You see, before, when there was no load management, when there was no division, and when people would try to play every game, people would not rest for a week and miss basically a week of basketball just because of missing 1 or 2 games, and people would actually show up to every game. It was common that Olympics. But the problem with load management in the NBA is that it's translating over to the Olympics. Load management has always been a deal in the NBA. It's always been a thing that happens, and even in the old days, a superstar player can miss 2 or 3 more games than their peers, because even if their peers missed, right, they were a player which was going to win much more games than they were going to lose. Now, before, this was frowned upon. Before, it was like you play the games that you can play, unless you're injured, unless you would have to be extremely fatigued, because let's face it, NBA games, there's only so many times that you're going to get back-to-backs, or that you're going to get weeks where you get 3 games. Most of the time you have some rest period, at least 1 or 2 days between games. So what happens was that now, in the 2010s, is players have cut back on the games that they play and try to up their production on the court. basically saying, I'm going to play less games, but I'm going to play harder, it's caused them to take on this logic of, I don't have to play the games which I am not forced to participate in. So this means really unimportant regular season games where athletes might just be tired, or their body is telling them one thing or the other, or just games where they maybe feel like their contribution is not as needed. And that last one goes especially for great teams, right? And in my opinion, what I do believe about all of this, right, is that people in the NBA, especially the Americans, need to start playing in these international events more. Maybe not in all of them. Like the FIBA World Cup has been historically, underperforming in terms of like the stars that apply, that go there and say that they're gonna participate. But with a team like an Olympic team, in my opinion, every star should play, because that's the only time in the world where all of the countries get to play for the highest medal, which is that golden Olympic medal. Because the golden Olympic medal, look, the NBA championship is the most important award that happens every year for the NBA. But representing your country is a whole different ballpark of important, right? Because the NBA championship, yes, it is probably one of the best championships that there is, since the NBA is probably the most competitive league in the world in its respective sport, except maybe the NFL, because the NBA has a big audience of great players, and the NBA is the goal for most players. But when we look at something like the NBA championship, there's a new NBA championship champion every year. And the only players who win the NBA championship are players on a certain team. And there are 15 players per team, and there's tons of coaches, staff, which all also got a championship. So, but when we look at the Olympics, the only players who get an Olympic gold medal are great NBA players who run their league respectively, right? So when we look at the Olympics, we want Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Mikal Bridges. We want all of them. We want Jaren Jackson, Anthony Davis, and all of these guys. We need them to play. And it's not because of the sport of basketball. It's because of the integrity to your country. Because basketball benefits from those guys playing. But if you want to see them play, they have NBA teams. You could see them 82 times a year or 50 times a year playing, plus the playoffs. But when it comes to the integrity for the countries and the competitiveness that we put on the Olympics, we want the Olympics to be competitive. We want the Olympics to be a bloodbath, because it keeps the game interesting. Yes, we love when Argentina beats USA. We love when other teams win against USA, because it helps motivate for better basketball. And now that Germany won the World Cup in FIBA, and now that Kevin Durant said that he wants to play, Devin Booker said that he wants to play, and Stephen Curry said that he wants to play, LeBron said that he's going to play. In my opinion, we're seeing the resurgence of the Olympic teams. So basically, in the end, what I want to say is that now that we have some players who verbally committed, and now that we have the 2024 Olympics coming up, I just want to say that the companies, and not companies, the countries need to step up. I'm not talking just about the USA. I'm talking about every country. We need to see Luka. We need, of course, this is that their countries qualify, but we need to see Jokic. We need to see Dennis Schroeder. We need to see LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Joel Embiid. We need to see all of these guys in the Olympics. In my opinion, it is much more important to basketball to keep the Olympics as a core, very important event each year, because it allows the players to play in the stage representing their country, and that's very important. The NBA is always going to be great. And as I said earlier, I'm going to reinstate it. We have a championship which gets won every year, but a tournament that goes every 4 years. Like, what happens if the same thing would have happened in 2004 and the Argentinians never won? because they didn't put in the effort. So that's what I'm saying. We need to keep the Olympics alive, and we need to keep them well. Tell me what you think about the Olympics and what you think about these new players committing.